The sky above Haven 9 glowed with a pale blue light, the last touch of a star that had survived the long wars in this part of the galaxy. The human colony sat quietly on the surface of the planet, a patchwork of buildings and farms that stretched across the plains. Smoke rose gently from the small power plants, and the hum of life moved slowly, almost peacefully. But peace was a fragile thing, and the humans of Haven 9 knew it. Commander Eli Harper stood on the balcony of the council hall, looking out at the city below. His uniform was simple, gray and practical, and his eyes, sharp and tired, scanned the horizon. He had spent years leading humans through danger, through the wars that had almost destroyed their colonies. Now, the danger had returned in a way no human had expected. The Veyari. The name alone carried fear across the stars. Strange, dark ships that moved faster than anything humans had ever built. They did not communicate. They did not negotiate. They destroyed everything in their path. Colonies that had once thrived were now empty husks. No survivors had returned to tell the story. Eli felt the weight of every life lost and every decision he had to make pressing down on him. Inside the council hall, the air was tense. Around the circular table sat representatives from the neighboring civilizations, the ones humans had come to trust in times of need. There were 4 of them, each from different races, each with expressions that showed worry, but also distance. They had made a decision about humanity, and that decision was not kind. "We cannot fight them," said Joran, a tall, thin being with pale green skin and wide eyes that reflected the light of the council chamber. "Not now, not ever. Your people are too few, and your technology too weak. If you remain in the systems you occupy, the Veyari will destroy you all. Complete annihilation." Eli's jaw tightened. He had heard this before in different words from other leaders. He had fought and lost enough times to know the truth in Joran's voice. But still, it felt like betrayal. "What are you proposing?" Eli asked, keeping his voice calm. He hated that calmness, but he knew he could not show anger in front of the council. "Tell me what you expect us to do." "You must leave," said Rhina, a small winged alien with soft silver skin. Her voice was gentle, but her eyes were firm. "You must leave the known systems. Take your people into the silent expanse. There, you will be safe from the Veyari. You will not have colonies to grow, but you will survive." The words hit Eli like a blow. Leave? To leave the systems where humans had lived for centuries, where children had been born and cities had grown? To leave their homes and everything they had built? It felt impossible. And yet, "And if we refuse?" Eli asked. His hands clenched on the railing as he fought to keep his voice steady. "If we fight?" "You will die," Rhina said softly. "And the Veyari will not wait. They will strike while you hesitate. Your people are strong, but not strong enough. You cannot face this threat without allies, and we cannot stand with you in open war. It would be our destruction as well as yours." Eli looked down at the city, at the people who went about their lives unaware of the danger above the stars. Families, workers, children laughing in the streets. The thought of leaving them, or worse, letting them die, made his stomach twist. He wanted to scream, to refuse, but he also knew the truth. Humans could not fight the Veyari, not alone. He turned back to the council members. "And what guarantee do we have that the silent expanse will keep us safe? What guarantee do we have that we will survive there?" Joran's eyes darkened. "None. Only the promise that we will not abandon you to death in the known systems. Beyond that, it is your choice. Survival is never certain, but staying here guarantees extinction." The room was silent for a long moment. Eli could hear his own heartbeat. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing on his shoulders. Around him, the council members waited. The humans in the hall, representatives of different districts, stared at him with hope and fear mingled in their eyes. They wanted guidance, and he had none to give that could ease the burden. "Eli," a voice said softly from the back of the room. Clara Benson, the head of the Human Council, stepped forward. She was young, strong, with a presence that could rally people even in the darkest times. "We have options. Fighting is not hopeless. We could strengthen our defenses, build more ships, train our people. We could—" "You could die," Eli interrupted gently. "And so could all of them. I have seen what the Veyari can do. Haven 9 may look peaceful now, but if we stay, there will be nothing left but ashes. I cannot allow that." Clara's eyes flashed with anger. "You would abandon them?" she whispered. "All of them? Every colony? Every person we could save?" "I would save them in the only way I can," Eli said quietly. "By taking them somewhere they might survive. Somewhere the Veyari will not reach. That is the only choice that keeps humanity alive." Clara looked away, biting her lip. No one spoke for a long time. The decision was heavy, almost unbearable. Finally, Eli stood taller. "Prepare the fleet. We leave at first light. Inform the people. There is no time to waste. We move as one, and we survive as one. Nothing else matters now." The next morning, the human fleet was ready. Ships of all sizes, from the massive carriers to the small transports, lined the spaceport. Children clutched their parents' hands, workers tried to hide their fear, and the elders prayed quietly. Eli walked among them, nodding, speaking quietly to calm their nerves. Each face he saw reminded him of the cost of survival. Owen Clark, one of the fleet's senior engineers, came to Eli as he inspected the preparations. "Do you think we're making the right choice?" Owen asked. His voice was low, almost breaking. "I've been thinking, maybe we could fight. Maybe we could win." Eli shook his head slowly. "We could not. Not now. Not like this. Sometimes survival is more important than victory. If we fight and fail, there will be nothing left of humanity. We have to live to fight another day." Owen's shoulders sagged. Another day, if there is another day. As the fleet lifted off the planet, the human population watched in silence. Haven 9 shrank beneath them, a small dot in the vastness of space. The sky around them was empty, quiet, except for the hum of the engines and the faint glow of distant stars. Inside the command ship, Eli watched the stars pass by, feeling the enormity of their journey ahead. The silent expanse was unknown, dangerous, and lonely. They would face challenges they could not imagine. But for now, humanity was still alive. That was enough. Days passed in tense silence. Supplies were rationed, schedules kept tight. Children learned to move about the ships. Adults worked endlessly to maintain life support and engines. Eli and Clara spoke often, trying to reassure each other as much as the fleet. Both carried the guilt of the colonies they left behind, the friends and family who had been sacrificed by circumstance. Late one night, Eli walked the observation deck alone. Stars stretched in all directions, beautiful and indifferent. He thought of the Veyari, of the destruction they had left in their wake, and he shuddered. Humanity had survived this far, but the galaxy was not yet forgiving. "Commander," Clara's voice startled him. She stepped onto the deck, looking out at the endless black. "Do you ever wonder if we made the right choice?" Eli did not answer immediately. He wanted to say yes, to convince her, to convince himself. But the truth was heavier than words. "We chose survival," he said finally. "That is the only certainty we have. Everything else, we cannot know." Clara sighed. "And yet I cannot shake the feeling that we abandoned them. Every colony, every person we could have helped." "We abandoned nothing," Eli said firmly. "We saved what we could. Sometimes saving what you love means leaving everything else behind. It does not mean we do not carry the guilt. We do. And that guilt, it will remind us to be better." to fight harder when we can, to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Clara nodded slowly, though her eyes remained heavy with worry. They stood together in silence, watching the stars, feeling the loneliness of their exile. The fleet continued onward, carrying humanity into the unknown, away from the systems they had built and the lives they had loved. In the distance, a dark shape appeared at the edge of the fleet's sensors. Eli squinted, heart tightening. The Veyari were out there, somewhere, always watching, always waiting. But for now, they were gone. Humanity had survived another day. That was all that mattered. Eli turned back to the fleet, to the people who depended on him, to the future that was theirs to build. The silent expanse awaited, full of danger and mystery, but also full of hope. Humanity had been abandoned. Yes, but not destroyed. And as long as they breathed, there was a chance to make things right. And so, the fleet sailed forward, through empty space, carrying humans and their hope, carrying guilt, but also carrying the seed of something greater. The stars stretched ahead, dark and full of promise. Eli Harper clenched his fists, determination hardening in his chest. They would survive. They had to. Humanity depended on it. The silent expanse stretched before the human fleet like an endless sea of black. Stars were few and far between, and the darkness seemed to press close against the ships. Silence was everywhere, broken only by the low hum of engines and the occasional alarm that reminded the crew they were far from home, far from safety. Commander Eli Harper moved through the command ship, checking systems and watching the crew. Their faces were pale, their movements careful. Fear had a way of settling into the bones of people, and Eli could feel it everywhere. He had seen it before, in the early days after battles, and he knew it would not fade quickly. "We should have stayed," muttered a voice behind him. Eli turned to see Owen Clark, the fleet's senior engineer, leaning against the wall. His eyes were tired, shadows under them deep from lack of sleep. "Maybe we could have built more weapons. Maybe we could have fought." Eli shook his head slowly. "We could not. Not with what we had. Not against the Veyari. You know that, Owen. Survival was the only choice." Owen's hands clenched into fists. Survival. Yes. But at what cost? Look at the faces of the people on these ships. They trust us to keep them alive, and we took them from everything they knew. Everything they loved. How do we tell them we did the right thing? Eli did not answer at first. He looked out through the viewports, past the fleet, into the dark emptiness. We do not tell them. We show them. Every day we keep them alive, we prove it. That is all we can do, one step at a time. That is how humanity survives. Owen nodded slowly, but his worry did not leave him. Eli could not blame him. It was heavy to carry the weight of an entire species on your shoulders. The fleet moved steadily through the expanse. Days passed in a blur of routine. Supplies were checked, ships repaired, children trained to move through the narrow corridors safely. Humans adapted quickly. It was a talent of their species, the way they learned, changed, and survived. One morning, a strange signal appeared on the fleet's sensors, a pulsing energy, unlike anything they had seen before. The sensors could not identify it. It was not from a ship, and it did not resemble any known celestial phenomenon. Eli gathered the council of humans, along with Owen and Clara in the command room. The room was tense. "What is it?" Clara asked, her brow furrowed. "I do not know," Owen said, studying the readings. "It is not a star, not a storm, not a known energy field. It pulses like it has a heartbeat, and it seems to be moving toward us." The fleet's commander of scouting ships, Lieutenant Mara Dean, spoke next. "It is far away, but it is approaching fast. Should we investigate or avoid it?" Eli's mind raced. He thought of the Veyari, of the danger waiting in the darkness. But he also thought of humanity's need to learn, to explore, to survive, by understanding what they faced. "We approach with caution," he said. "Send a small scout fleet first. We cannot risk the entire population on an unknown force. Keep shields up and sensors active. If it is dangerous, we retreat." The scout fleet moved out, sleek ships cutting through the blackness, their lights faint against the void. Hours passed. Then the scouts returned, and their report sent a ripple of amazement through the command ship. "It is a structure," Mara said, her voice trembling slightly. "A massive structure floating in space. It is alive somehow. Energy flows through it like veins. It reacts to our presence." Eli frowned. "Alive? How can a structure be alive?" "It is not alive like we are," Mara said, "but it has intelligence. It changes when we move, shifts its form. It seems curious." The humans debated for hours. Some wanted to flee, afraid of what might happen. Others, led by Clara, wanted to approach to learn from it. Curiosity, the drive to understand, was strong in humans, and it could not be silenced. Finally, Eli made a decision. "We approach," he said. "Slowly, carefully. But we do not fire. We observe. We learn. This could be the key to survival, or it could be our destruction. Either way, we must know." The fleet moved cautiously, and as they drew near, the structure revealed itself in more detail. It was enormous, a lattice of metal and energy floating silently in space. It pulsed with light, shifting colors like it was breathing. No human technology could have built something like this. It was not a ship, not a planet, not a weapon. It was something else, something ancient. As the fleet approached, the structure emitted a low hum, a sound felt more than heard. Some humans trembled, their fear mixing with awe. Children clung to parents, and adults stared, unsure if this was a miracle or a trap. Eli's hand rested on the rail of the command deck. "Stay calm," he said, though his own voice shook slightly. "We face the unknown. That is what humans do. That is how we survive." Then the hum grew louder. Lights on the structure shifted, and suddenly, the fleet felt a pull, gentle but insistent. It was as if the structure wanted them closer. "Shields up," Eli ordered. "Do not let it touch us." The scouts approached first, and a strange event occurred. Energy flowed into their ships, but it did not harm them. Instead, systems that had been damaged or unstable began to repair themselves. Hulls mended, engines hummed smoothly, and sensors came online fully. The scouts returned with reports of a strange interface, a way to communicate with the structure without words. Humans, despite their fear, felt a spark of hope. Could this ancient entity help them? Could it offer knowledge, strength, survival? Eli wondered if this was the beginning of humanity's chance to rise above its limits, to find allies in the places no one else would look. For days, the fleet remained near the structure, learning, observing, and communicating. They discovered patterns in the energy pulses, ways to interface through their ships. Clara worked tirelessly with Owen and Mara to understand it, documenting every detail. One evening, Eli stood on the observation deck, watching the humans work. There was a feeling in the air, a sense that the future was beginning to shift. The structure had not spoken, not in words, but it had shown them the power of curiosity and persistence. Humanity, abandoned and alone, was finding a way forward. Yet the guilt of the colonies they had left behind never faded. Eli thought of the worlds destroyed by the Veyari, of the families they could not save. Each memory was a weight, pressing on his heart, reminding him of the price of survival. "Commander," Clara said softly, joining him, "do you think they watch us? The Veyari?" "They may," Eli said, "or they may not. Right now that does not matter. What matters is that we survive, and if we survive, we will have a chance to protect others, to be the guardians we should have been all along." Clara nodded. And what about the council that abandoned us? Do you think they feel guilty? They should, Eli said quietly. But guilt does not save lives. Action does. That is what humans must focus on. Not revenge, not regret. Action. As days turned into weeks, the humans adapted to their new reality. They learned to live in the silent expanse, to explore the mysteries that stretched before them. Some humans found joy in small things. Children learning to play in zero gravity, engineers discovering new ways to repair their ships, crews forming bonds stronger than anything they had known. And yet, the shadow of what they had left behind always lingered. Eli carried it with him, a reminder that survival was never simple, that choices carried consequences, and that humanity's path would always be tested. One day, scouts reported movement in the expanse, strange shadows drifting near the edges of the fleet's sensors. Eli studied them carefully. Stay alert. We do not know what is out there. It may be harmless, or it may be another threat. The fleet moved cautiously, and as the shadows drew nearer, humans realized they were remnants of other civilizations, abandoned or lost in the expanse. Ships long thought destroyed floated aimlessly, some broken, some powered by strange energy sources. The sight was a warning. Survival was possible, but only if humans remained vigilant, resourceful, and united. Eli gathered his commanders. This is what we face now, he said. The unknown. The dangers that others cannot survive. We must adapt. We must learn. And we must protect humanity, no matter the cost. We cannot forget those we left behind, but we must focus on those we can save now. Our people, our children, our future. The humans nodded, determination hardening in their eyes. They had been abandoned by the council, left to survive alone, but they were not broken. The silent expanse was vast and dangerous, but it was also full of possibilities. Knowledge, power, allies, even hope waited for those brave enough to seek it. And so, the fleet continued, moving through the darkness, carrying humans and their courage. The structure, mysterious and alive, pulsed beside them, a guide, a teacher, a reminder that survival demanded curiosity and courage. Humanity was learning, growing, and preparing for the day when the galaxy would remember that, even abandoned, they were not defeated. Eli stood on the observation deck, watching the stars pass by. Fear remained, yes. Guilt remained. But hope also grew. Humanity had survived the first step. They had faced the unknown. And in the silent expanse, they were becoming something greater, something stronger. The future was uncertain. The challenges were many, but humanity would endure because they had to, and because when they did, the galaxy would see what humans were truly capable of. Life in the silent expanse had settled into a quiet rhythm, but the humans knew that calm could not last. Commander Eli Harper walked the corridors of the command ship, listening to the hum of the engines, the soft voices of crew members checking supplies, and the occasional laughter of children playing in zero gravity. It was a sound that reminded him of home, of everything they had lost, and of why they had to survive. The strange structure that had appeared days after their arrival continued to follow them at a careful distance, pulsing softly, as if it were watching. Clara Benson had spent hours studying the energy patterns, and she had begun to understand the rhythm, the language hidden in the light and the pulses. Humanity had never communicated with something like this before, yet it seemed curious, almost patient, waiting for them to learn. "Commander," Owen Clark said, entering the observation deck. He looked excited and tired at the same time, holding a small tablet with the latest readings. "I think we're starting to understand it. Not fully, of course, but there's a pattern. It reacts to our energy, our signals, even to the way our ships move. It's intelligent." Eli nodded. "Intelligent, yes, but we still don't know why. What is its purpose? Is it a guide? A weapon? A trap? Owen shook his head. I don't know. But I do know it's not attacking us. It's helping us, in a way. The scouts we sent out, their engines, their shields, even minor hull damage, has been repaired faster than we can explain. Something is teaching us, or at least improving our systems. Clara joined them, her silver tablet glowing softly. It's more than that, she said. Look at these readings. The energy patterns resemble life signals. Not like ours, but life. It reacts when we are near, but it also seems to respond to our choices. If we act carefully, it rewards us. If we act recklessly, it withdraws. It's like it's testing us. Eli frowned. Testing us for what? That I don't know, Clara admitted. But I think maybe it's seeing if we are capable of survival on our own, or if we are worthy of something greater. Eli's jaw tightened. Worthy. That was a word that carried weight. Humanity had been abandoned, left to survive on its own, and now it was being watched by something far beyond their understanding. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. Days later, a new problem arose. Sensors on the fleet detected a series of energy pulses far ahead, beyond the immediate reach of the structure. At first, the pulses seemed harmless, rhythmic and slow, but then the pulses changed, becoming irregular, almost aggressive. The fleet's engines shivered under the influence, and alarms began to sound. "What is it?" Clara asked, leaning over the main console. Eli studied the readings. "I don't know yet. It's not like anything we've seen before. It's alive, yes, but in a dangerous way. We need to find out if it's a threat or something else." Owen spoke up, concern in his voice. "It could be another species, lost or hostile, or maybe the Veyari found us already." "We can't take chances." Eli made a decision quickly. "Prepare a scouting team. I want unmanned probes first. No lives at risk until we know what we face, and shields at full. We don't know if this is a natural phenomenon or an enemy." The probes moved ahead, small, fast, and equipped with sensors to measure everything. Hours passed with tense silence. Then the data returned, shocking everyone on the command ship. "It's a trap," Owen said softly. "It's designed to lure ships in. Energy patterns show an attraction, but also a collapse zone. If a ship enters, it will be crushed or destroyed by the energy flow." Eli's face tightened. "How do we know that it won't detect the probes?" "It didn't," Owen said, "or it allowed them to survive. I think it's selective. It chooses who can come closer." Clara looked thoughtful. "Maybe it's a test, the same as before. It wants to see how we react. We can't rush in. We have to be careful." Eli nodded. "Very well. We wait. We plan. Humanity survives by thinking before acting. That is what we do." For days, the fleet observed the trap, learning its patterns, recording every pulse. Some crew members grew anxious, restless, and angry. They had been abandoned once, left to face annihilation, and now it felt as though the universe itself was testing them again. Children still played in the corridors, unaware of the danger. Adults worked tirelessly to maintain order and safety, and throughout it all, the structure pulsed softly, patient, guiding, perhaps even judging. Then, one night, the structure acted in a way no one expected. A beam of energy shot toward the trap ahead, interacting with it in a way that humans could not have anticipated. The energy pulse neutralized the collapse zone, creating a safe passage. The humans watched in awe. "It's helping us," Owen whispered. "It's opening a path. It wants us to continue, but carefully." Clara smiled, a mix of relief and wonder in her eyes. "It's teaching us, testing our patience, our intelligence, our discipline. Humanity is not just surviving. We are learning from something far beyond our understanding." Eli felt a weight lift slightly from his shoulders, but not completely. The humans were still in danger. The expanse was full of unknowns, and the Veyari could appear at any time. And yet, there was hope, a chance to grow stronger, to adapt in ways no one had imagined. As the fleet moved through the safe passage, the trap behind them collapsed harmlessly. The humans cheered quietly, a small victory in a universe that offered few. Eli felt pride for his people, for their courage, for their ability to face the unknown and survive. But the trials were far from over. The structure pulsed again, sending a new series of signals, more complex than before. Clara and Owen studied them, working late into the night. Slowly, they began to understand the message. The expanse held other remnants of civilizations, others who had been abandoned or destroyed. Some could be allies, some could be dangers. Humanity had to be ready for both. Eli walked the observation deck thinking. He thought of the colonies they had left behind, of the lives lost, of the guilt they carried. He thought of the humans under his command and the children who represented the future. Every decision mattered. Every choice could mean survival or destruction. "We will survive," he whispered to himself. "We must. Humanity must endure, and we will not fail again." Suddenly, the fleet's sensors picked up movement. Not far ahead, a ship appeared, floating silently, damaged and ancient. It was not human. Its design was alien, but it was clearly intelligent in origin. The humans were cautious. This could be an enemy, a remnant of the Veyari, or something unknown. "Prepare for contact," Eli ordered. "Shields up, sensors active. No sudden moves. We approach slowly." The fleet moved closer. The alien ship pulsed with light, similar to the structure's energy, but darker, more erratic. Clara studied the readings. "It's alive. Not like the structure, but it has energy, movement, awareness. It's weak, damaged, but still intelligent. We need to communicate carefully." Owen nodded. "We can't attack it. If we do, we risk provoking it. It might help us or destroy us." Eli took a deep breath. "Then we observe. We learn. We act only when we understand." For hours, the humans watched the ship. Slowly, they discovered patterns, signals, and weak points. They learned to interact, sending pulses of energy similar to those the structure had taught them. The alien ship responded, not aggressively, but cautiously, revealing its purpose. It had once been a research vessel, abandoned by its civilization long ago, surviving through energy stored in its systems. "This is incredible," Clara said softly. "We are not the only survivors in the expanse. There are others, and we can learn from them, or help them. We have the chance to do more than survive. We can grow, adapt, and become stronger." Eli's eyes narrowed with determination. Humanity had been abandoned once, left to face annihilation, but now they had allies in the unknown, guidance from the structure, and the knowledge that survival demanded more than courage. It demanded intelligence, patience, and unity. The fleet continued, moving carefully through the expanse, learning, adapting, and preparing for what lay ahead. Every day brought new challenges, new mysteries, and new opportunities to grow. Humanity was no longer just fleeing. They were becoming something greater, something capable of facing the galaxy itself. And in the shadows of the silent expanse, the Veyari moved as well, unaware that the humans they had abandoned, and that the Council had abandoned, were learning, growing, and preparing. The galaxy would soon see that humanity's strength was not in numbers, not in weapons alone, but in courage, intelligence, and the ability to survive against impossible odds. Eli stood on the observation deck, watching the stars pass by. Fear and guilt were still there, heavy in his chest, but hope also burned brighter. Humanity had survived the first test, and they were ready for the next. Whatever came, they would face it together, and they would endure. The silent expanse had tested them, and humanity was proving that they could rise above any challenge. The silent expanse had changed the humans. Weeks turned into months, and the fleet moved steadily through the dark space, guided by the pulses of the strange structure and by their own determination. Commander Eli Harper walked the corridors of the command ship, noting the faces of the crew. They were no longer just scared humans. They were determined, skilled, and cautious. They had learned the language of survival. Clara Benson and Owen Clark worked tirelessly in the research labs. Using the guidance of the structure, they had begun to repair old ships and even improve the fleet's technology. Shields were stronger, engines more efficient, and the humans had discovered a way to harvest energy from the expanse itself. It was dangerous work, but the results were undeniable. Humanity was growing stronger. "Commander," Clara said one evening, her eyes bright with excitement, "we can defend ourselves now. If the Veyari find us, we are no longer helpless. Our ships are faster, stronger, and smarter than before. We've adapted to this place." Eli nodded slowly, a rare smile on his face. "Good. We cannot fight them yet, but we can survive. And survival is the first step to victory." Owen came over, holding a console. "We've also been communicating more with the structure. I think it understands us now. It's showing us other signals, other civilizations, other survivors. They are scattered across the expanse, and some are in danger. We can help them." Eli's jaw tightened. "We will help them. That is what humans do. We survive, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is our strength." The fleet moved carefully, following the signals. Soon they discovered a small human colony, abandoned long ago, hidden in a system of dying stars. Supplies were low, life support systems failing, and the few survivors were weak and frightened. They had given up hope. "Prepare the landing teams," Eli ordered. "We will not abandon them. Not again." The humans of the fleet descended carefully. Children clung to parents, and elders looked at the newcomers with disbelief. Eli stepped forward, offering words of comfort. "You are safe now. Humanity has come for you. You will not be abandoned." The relief was overwhelming. Some cried, others fell to their knees, and all of them looked at the fleet with awe. These were humans who had given up, who thought the galaxy had left them behind. Now they were reminded of the courage and unity that defined their species. As the rescued humans were brought aboard, the fleet's sensors picked up a distant movement. Dark shapes appeared on the edge of the expanse, Veyari ships. They were massive, fast, and silent, like shadows hunting prey. Eli's heart tightened. This was the test he had feared. "Prepare for battle," he ordered calmly. "Shields up, weapons ready. But we will not panic. We have learned patience, intelligence, and strategy. Use them." Clara and Owen worked quickly to coordinate the fleet. The structure pulsed beside them, guiding, warning, and assisting in subtle ways. Humans had learned to trust it, to move with it rather than against it. The Veyari fleet moved closer, unaware that they were no longer facing a weak species. The humans had learned from every challenge, adapted to every danger, and now they had the strength to stand against annihilation. Eli took command from the bridge, voice calm but firm. "Focus fire. Target engines first. Keep formation tight. We survive as one." The first attack came, a wave of dark energy that smashed against shields. The fleet shivered, alarms blaring, but the humans held. The structure pulsed, sending waves of energy that reinforced shields and repaired minor damage. Humans realized that they were not alone in the fight. Even the expanse itself seemed to favor their survival. Small human ships darted through the enemy formation, striking weak points and retreating quickly. The Veyari had expected an easy victory, but the humans were unpredictable, clever, and united. Every maneuver, every strategy was born of the lessons learned in months of exile and training. "Commander," Owen shouted, pointing at the main Veyari ship, "their engines are vulnerable. If we disable them, the fleet will lose formation." "Do it," Eli ordered. "All ships, focus on the main vessel. Strike with precision." The fleet moved as one, energy beams striking the Veyari ship. Explosions lit the void. But the humans held their ground. The Veyari were powerful, but they were not prepared for the intelligence, courage, and unity of humanity. Hours passed, but slowly the tide turned. Veyari ships began to falter, their formation broken, their engines damaged. Humans pressed forward carefully, never reckless, always calculating. The rescued humans watched in awe as the fleet they had doubted became a force that could stand against the galaxy's most feared enemy. Finally, the main Veyari vessel shuddered and went dark. The remaining ships scattered, retreating into the void. Humanity had survived. They had endured the greatest test, and they had proven themselves capable of facing the impossible. Eli allowed himself a moment of relief, though he knew the war was not over. "We have survived today," he said quietly. "And we have shown the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated." Clara approached him, smiling despite exhaustion. "We've come so far, from abandoned survivors to a fleet that can defend itself. We've learned from the expanse, from the structure, from each other. Humanity is stronger than ever." Owen nodded, looking at the battle reports. "And we're not finished. There are other survivors, other threats, and other mysteries. But we are ready. We are prepared. We are human." Eli gazed out at the stars, feeling the weight of the journey they had taken. Humanity had been abandoned, left to face annihilation alone, but they had endured. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. The silent expanse had tested them, but they had passed. And now, the future was theirs to shape. They would not allow fear or guilt to define them. They would not let the mistakes of the past dictate their fate. Humanity would rise, and the galaxy would remember that even abandoned, they were a force beyond reckoning. The structure pulsed one final time, as if in approval, sending waves of light across the fleet. Humans watched, feeling a strange connection to it, as though it had been guiding them all along, teaching them, preparing them for the challenges ahead. Eli turned to his commanders. "We have survived the darkness, we have faced the unknown, and we have grown stronger. Humanity will endure. We will not be abandoned again. Our time has come." The fleet moved forward, carrying humans, hope, and courage through the silent expanse. The stars stretched ahead, full of danger, mystery, and opportunity. Humanity had survived the trials, and they were ready for whatever came next. The survivors, once abandoned and forgotten, now looked to the future with determination. They had learned that survival was only the beginning, and that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome any challenge. As the fleet sailed on, Eli Harper knew one thing with certainty. Humanity was no longer a species to be dismissed. They had been abandoned, yes, but they had carried their guilt, learned from it, and had become something stronger. The galaxy would remember their courage, their intelligence, and their unbreakable spirit. For the first time in a long while, Eli allowed himself to hope. Humanity had survived, and they would endure. No matter what lay ahead, no matter how dark or dangerous, they would face it together. And the galaxy, in time, would come to know that humanity, though abandoned once, was a force beyond reckoning. The fleet continued, moving steadily into the heart of the silent expanse, ready for whatever challenges awaited. Humanity had proven itself capable of surviving the impossible, and they would continue to do so, carrying with them the lessons of guilt, courage, and hope, shining as a beacon for the galaxy to see. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and humanity sailed forward, no longer abandoned, no longer weak, but strong, united, and unafraid. And in the silence of the expanse, the galaxy watched, knowing that a new power had risen, one that would not be ignored, one that would not be forgotten. Humanity had survived, and their story was just beginning.